welcome to the podcast, Aliza. I'm so happy to have you
Yes,
finally.
me too. Thank you for having me.
So your whole business and your whole story is so interesting to me. I don't know that I've had anybody really on the podcast before with this particular topic. It seems very needed. So for people listening, I would love for you to share your story and how you got into the work that you're doing right now, as far as helping women with egg freezing and
Yeah,
retrievals.
absolutely. So my story started about 3 years ago. I'm 36 now, and at 33, I froze my eggs in Vancouver, Canada, where I was born and raised. And I felt the whole process was quite emotional, isolating. Um, I felt that I wasn't as informed as I could have been. And ultimately, I ended up with 3 eggs. And so that was really disheartening also because I had spent close to about what was $16,000 at the time. Now the same process is $18,000 plus $750 per year on storage. So about $20,000 for, a very emotional process as well as only resulting in 3 eggs. And so I thought there had to be a better way. There were so many gaps, and there are so
Mhm.
many gaps in fertility care. I mean, science and technology have come such a far way for egg freezing and IVF treatment, but we constantly hear about this process of grief that comes up for women. And egg freezing at the time had been marketed as something that was super empowering. That's something you did because you were taking control of your fertility and control of your future, which when I went through the process didn't feel that way at all. There was a lot of grief in it. It actually felt like my back was up against a wall. I was single. I had this AMH level that was kind of like I was told was average to low, and it would be really good to freeze my eggs as fast as I can. And then, of course, the financial factor came in where I had to pull all this money out of in my early 30s, money that was, being saved for other things. And so I started looking at that time, my doctor, I do feel like I've kind of done this in a really long-winded way. So obviously, because I got 3 eggs, my doctor did recommend that I do an additional cycle. And so I started looking at options abroad because I couldn't afford to do multiple cycles in Vancouver where it was, $16,000 to $20,000 per cycle. And I looked at all the different countries in the world because I've been remotely working for the last 8 years and I was able to travel anywhere. And had I known that I needed multiple cycles up front, I think I would have looked abroad to begin with. But I wasn't
Mhm.
informed on that process based on my testing. And so I ended up honing in on Mexico for a number of reasons. And during this time, I also had gone through a major health crisis. So I had experienced extreme pain in my eyes, neuralgia. And that meant that I had basically what felt like
Mhm.
acid in my eyes that spread through
Oh,
my
wow.
head, down the side of my face, into my neck, and into my shoulders constantly, every time I blinked. And I had quit my job. I had flown around the world to see, every doctor and specialist possible out of pocket. Spent around $70,000.
Mhm.
My nervous system was like a complete mess, but I didn't even really know what the nervous system was at that point in time. And I was just so fixated that this was, a physical issue. And eventually, I got help in the U.S. with a specialized doctor, but the doctor in America and the doctor in Canada didn't really connect. And my case kind of was super complex and fell through the cracks, which resulted in me losing part of my vision in my left eye. And so,
Wow.
feeling quite defeated, burnt out at that point in time, I started doing things that I rolled my eyes at the year before, things that people had recommended to me. Some people had recommended to me or I had heard about, but I didn't think would really move the needle on my medical condition. I thought they were just things that would help me mentally feel better. And they were things that,
Mhm.
were like acupuncture, things like meditation, things like,
Mhm.
addressing the nervous system and breath work and a lot of the work that, you address in your podcast with your guests. And slowly but surely, I started to feel better. The pain started to subside.
Mhm.
And though I don't have like some sort of miracle story with, my vision magically came back, the pain did start to feel better. And so I decided that I didn't want to do and go forward with any medical process ever again, if not in a holistic way. So addressing the emotional and the
Mhm.
spiritual and mental aspects to this.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, the work that I did on my eyes over 2 years resulted in my fertility levels, so my AMH, rising by 84% um, years later.
That's incredible. That's a
Very
significant number.
significant.
I'm sure a lot of people are loving hearing this right now.
So I had already began these egg freezing retreats where I had started to build something that I wanted. And then I went to a digital nomad conference where I just said to women there, I wasn't a planned speaker or anything. It was kind of like an unconference, what they called them. And I said, look, I've done all this research on egg freezing abroad in different countries and the regulations and rules and things you should ask. So how to vet your clinics. If anybody wants to attend, like it's just free information I'd like to share. 25 women showed up. Of that,
Mhm.
22 women signed up on my
Mm.
email list when I offered them, let me see if I can negotiate us a group discount with the clinic. And of those, half of the women
Mhm.
said that they want to live together while doing it. And that's how our group egg freezing retreat started. And
Wow.
yeah, so
That's
that's
so
how it's
cool.
centered around holistic health, infertility, as well as these group egg freezing retreats. And now we're building something that, as you said, is really its first of its kind.
That's amazing. So that's so cool. I just love the whole idea of retreats. And I'll be honest, I think that we don't know anything as far as the power of community. Like the power of community heals you, like physically, you can really get so much better. And I do think that there are some studies that were more like group therapy. There's something about groups and community that is extremely, extremely powerful. So I love the idea of people coming together, going through a very challenging time, and supporting themselves and each other at the same time. That to me is just such a
Yeah,
cool
I think
concept.
like even we've had a participant in our last retreat say, this was a process that I thought I would feel was difficult and I'd feel overwhelmed with. But for some reason, my nervous system is even calmer than it is normally. And it is really the power of community. Like
Mhm.
I often tell the women, another reason why I believe this is so important to do with other women is because a lot of these women are single, though not all of them. And, this is your
Mhm.
first step to parenthood, your to motherhood. And, you know,
Mhm.
that science and technology are great. They've come so far for us and they're allowing women to get pregnant older and help women that have low ovarian reserves also, attain motherhood. But we are women. We are the creators of life. We push the human race
Mhm.
forward. And we can't forget that. These aren't just clinical appointments where you go in and you leave and you go in and you leave. And that's the first step.
Yeah. Yes,
It's
it's
sacred.
sacred. We're more
Much more
sacred than that.
sacred than
Yeah.
that, and I think we are, like, giving our power away to just
It's like we're sacred beings having a clinical
yeah, yes,
experience.
and we're getting so excited about the tech that we're operating in the same system that we do everything else in this modern world, like in and out, like, just operationally, like, productivity, how can I optimize? How can I optimize? When if we can just take a second, invest some time into this process, make it a spiritual process, and,
Mhm.
if you can't do it with a partner, then why not do it with a group of other women? Like, what's more sacred than that?
100%. That is so cool. So let's break it down. A couple of things that you were talking about were different locations, going out of the country to get treatment. What are some of the things that you've seen or some places that were really good? I mean, I personally hear a
Yeah.
lot about Spain. I think that their technology is really good. It is less expensive, but I'm sure you've dug into it a lot more. So,
Yeah,
so do
absolutely.
tell.
So I chose Mexico for a few reasons. And yes, some of the hotspots for fertility treatments are Spain, Greece, the Czech Republic, um, and of course, Mexico. I chose Mexico personally because of its proximity to the US and Canada, which are some of the countries with the highest um, costs for fertility treatments. So women can still obviously co-work and like still work while they're down there, if they choose to. I also chose it because of its established reputation in medical tourism. There's a lot
Hmm.
of Americans and Canadians that are already very familiar with Mexico and go down there for other treatments just because of the high cost of medical treatment in America, as well as the wait times in Canada. They are bilingual. The clinic I chose is uses um, it uses amazing technology. Its standards are very rigorous and up against the European standards. And so their success rates, I looked at the
Hmm.
success rates of each clinic as well. And so that's why I chose this specific clinic. And then we come to like
Hmm.
rules and regulations and laws. So in Mexico, you can actually have closed or open donors, which means that you can get to know your
Hmm.
donor if you choose after 18, as well as they have really strong, they're very open to LGBTQ couples, as well as single motherhood. And they also have sex selection. So that's something that only is available in the US and in Mexico. So if you want a
Right.
family plan, you have 3 boys and you want a girl, or you have 3 girls, one boy, you can do
Hmm.
that in Mexico. Um, of- also our clinic uses the European sperm bank. So that was something I also thought was important in case you were a single mother and you wanted a donor that was like from a different background. And then finally, of course, Mexico
Hmm.
because of its retreat vibes. We associate it as
Hmm.
Canadians and Americans as um, somewhere we go to like retreat and relax and unplug. And so the warm weather and things like that. I did consider Spain, and Spain does have very affordable treatments. Its standard of care is really great. Its regulations are really great. It has its laws and regulations for donors are they only allow closed donors. So that was one thing. You can't have sex selection there either, although most countries in the world you can't have that. Um, and the last thing was affordability. And so the treatment is affordable in Spain, but everything else isn't. And so we have nurses come to the
Hmm.
house, we have acupuncture and massage therapy. Girls are ordering Uber Eats to their house, they're taking taxis. Things to make you feel more
Hmm.
comfortable during the process weren't affordable in Spain. And so I wanted to make this whole process
Hmm.
a little bit more affordable, a little bit more comfortable. And that was suited for Mexico.
Yeah. That's so cool. Well, Mexico's beautiful. That's for sure. It definitely has retreat vibes. So as far as just describe really what it is, like for somebody who's thinking about doing it, like what is the whole process really from
Yeah,
beginning
so
to end?
we offer, complimentary discovery calls where you meet with me and we kind of go through where you are in egg freezing, what we offer at the Fertility Co-Living. From the discovery call, we then connect you to the medical clinic. You get your testing done.
Hmm.
And we invite you into our container. So once you've signed up with us, we guide you through the whole process from start to finish. And we really want to take the pressure off women. Like
Hmm.
there's so many things you're already thinking about. So once you're invited into our container,
Yeah.
we guide you through what tests you need to get, which ones you need to do in order, which ones you need to do like now to decide if egg freezing is if you're a candidate for egg freezing, and which ones can kind of wait till after you've already paid your deposit and you're a little bit closer to the retrieval process. And then 3 months prior to the actual retreat, we we have you have in our container we have 2 webinars with our doctors. We also have 2 meet and greets with your cohort.
Hmm.
We invite you into the WhatsApp group so that you meet the other women that will be in your retreat. We give you nutritional guidance. We send you podcast recommendations and nervous system support so that you're preparing your body
Hmm.
fully. And of course, supplementation and things like that. So you're preparing your body fully for about 3 months in advance to the retreat. And that's because,
Mhm.
the egg maturation cycle is 100 days prior to retrieval. And so we want to make sure you're your
Correct.
body the
Yeah.
best quality eggs. Um, the medical community really focuses on quantity because they don't feel like there's a lot of control over quality. And what we focus on is no matter how
Mhm.
many eggs you get, let's try and make sure that they're all of good quality. And how do you do that? Through nutrition,
Yes.
good sleep, increasing positive emotions, acupuncture, blood flow, all of these kind of more
Mhm.
intangible aspects. And so then after our container, we obviously you come to the retreat. The retreat is 3 weeks long. And
Mhm.
so the first week is basically we do like you introduce to your group, you move in, and we introduce you to the clinic and you start your stimulations. And so a day in the retreat might look like, in the morning, the nurses come to the co-living, they do the injections for you, or they can guide you on how you do them if you want to do them yourself. Then the girls make breakfast together, or they go out for brunch together. Some of them are working, some of them are not, some of them are taking a lighter schedule. Some of them go do like tourist things around Mexico City. And the afternoon might be filled with like fertility appointments, as our clinic sees you every second day, and or
Mhm.
acupuncture. We have red light therapy in house, and massage therapy.
Mhm.
Then in the evening, we either have like yoga or sound bath. We have movie nights, and then the women usually have dinner together, and then they go to sleep. And so the first week is really move in and injection stimulation start. The women don't really feel anything during this week. It's like a great week. We have the schedule quite packed with like things to do and sights to see, and we get really we kind of it's a vacation. And then the second week is when women start to really feel the like the effects of the hormone injections, kind of like mentally, emotionally, and physically. They're a little bit more heavier, a little bit more bloated. And so we recommend a lighter schedule during this time. By the end of the second week, you're going into your
Mhm.
retrieval, or by early third week. By the beginning of the
Mhm.
third week. Once your retrieval is done, every woman will have 4 to 7 days in our retreat to fully recover. And so that means all retrievals are done
Mhm.
before our retreat, long before our retreat ends. And that leaves room for any complications, any women that want to take extra time to rest. Or we've had women that were completely fine after their retrieval, and it turns into a 1 week holiday in Mexico City where they're going up hot air balloon over the
Yeah.
pyramids. And so that's kind of the overview on the container, the prep towards the retreat, and then the retreat itself.
So it sounds like there's like really three major parts. There's one before the 3 month prep, right? Just where you're doing the testing. So how long before the actual retreat where you're in person is the beginning to
So
that point?
our deadlines to sign up for the retreat are 4 months in advance, and that's because we really want to encourage to
Hmm.
get the full experience. You are part of that 3 month prep container. It's crucial to make sure
Got it.
that you're giving these eggs your best shot. They are the future children of you. It's also a very expensive process, although we
Hmm.
can talk about the costs as well. Um, And so that's why we really encourage women to sign up 4 months in advance so we can get them started on that
Hmm.
3 month prep. Prior to that, women would want to have their blood work done, their ultrasound done, so they can make sure that they are a candidate and have their consult with the medical
Right.
doctors that that can make sure that there's no like major objections to egg freezing for them.
So if that was the case, they wouldn't really be committed, if something
Exactly.
wasn't right,
Yeah.
correct? Like, so, and then my other question is, how do they align them? Do they give them birth control pills? Because I know sometimes they'll control the hormones that way to get everybody in the
Yeah, it's a
same
great question.
schedule.
Yeah, so we do Psycho Sync through birth control.
Hmm.
Um, it
Right.
is a tricky one with people, and I like to be upfront about it. And even though I've had my personal relationship with birth control, we put them on for 21 days, and there's different birth controls that are
Hmm.
recommended to you based on if you have PCOS, if you have endometriosis, if you have an IUD in, and so the doctor will go through that with you. But everybody starts and stops birth control on the same day. our WhatsApp chat is like,
Mhm.
our group WhatsApp chat is like people are talking. Like if some people it doesn't affect at all because 21 days is quite short and usually side effects happen. Um, Side effects can happen after that.
Correct. It's insignificant. I agree. I'm not like a big fan of long-term use for birth control. I've been on it myself. I just know that it can like really impact kind of the hormonal balance of the body. How if it's longer, but if it's short, it's really like not nothing I would worry about. And I'm very
Yeah,
holistic, as
yeah.
you know.
So, I mean, it's something I had to do for my
Yeah.
cycle, even though I didn't do it in a group. They tend to try to prime you so they can also schedule you in as well. So
Mhm.
it is how we bring everybody
Yeah.
together and then we schedule it so that the women are arriving 3 days before their period starts. And so this process.
Mhm. That sounds so interesting. And so it's really it sounds like obviously you're also organizing everything for people so that they don't have to feel like they have the headache. You're really making it streamlined. And then bringing all the different aspects of like the holistic aspect, the community aspect, things that they can do for their nervous system, like really coming together and feeling that support. So it's a really cool like idea. It's really
Thank you.
very
Yeah,
unique.
it is, it's really a one-stop shop so that women can kind of sign up with us and then they don't have to think about it again because I do feel like with egg freezing particularly, women are like they tend to procrastinate on it because it's not this immediate problem the way IVF is. It's like, oh, okay, I with IVF, it's like we want to have this child now. We'll immediately know our result. With egg freezing, it's
Yes.
like that that's a problem that maybe will be a problem for me. And I have, there's always something better to spend
Right.
$20,000 on. So we're trying to make it more accessible, more affordable, and less of a hassle for women to
Yeah.
sign on and say, okay, let's do these hard things together.
And the planning process for if people are working, all they'll really need to do is take about
Yep,
3 weeks
and
off.
they can still, work while they're there. If they can work remotely, we recommend a lighter schedule, but we will also recommend this time that they should really take off. And there's a couple of days that we will recommend that. And then they get our full retreat schedule a month in advance. So if there's things they really want to participate in, like for
Mhm.
example, we visit the Frida Kahlo Museum or we go to Chapultepec Park or we do different things around the city that are
Mhm.
like very like gentle and egg freezing friendly, like going to Koya.
Yeah, I love that. I
Yeah,
like freezing
because you know what?
friendly.
I egg froze. My friends were like, "Do you wanna come
Yeah.
out?" And it's like, "No, I don't wanna come out. I'm in the middle of this, egg freezing for your
Yeah, yeah,
birthday
yeah,
at a
yeah, of
bar,
course.
you know?
It's a lot.
You wanna do
Yeah,
something that's
totally.
in nature, like, really aligned with this
Yeah,
process." And, so we provide those schedules, and
totally.
then they can decide if they can join or not join us. It's really as much or as little as you wanna participate in. And each girl has their own room
Yeah.
and their own bathroom if they choose. Um And so, you can retreat as much as you want into your own space.
And how often do you guys plan these?
So we launched last year. We did 2 retreats, and right now our next retreat
Mhm.
is set for September. So September 6th to
Mhm.
27th, and we are currently, accepting women into the cohort. We don't have another one planned yet beyond that, so we kind of go as they come right now.
Mhm.
But we'll probably be looking at
Yeah.
November and then again in January 2027.
Is there usually a limit, to how many people you have at
Yes, there
once?
is. So September is going to have 8 women in it, and that's just to help keep
Mhm.
the experience quite intimate. There's also a lot of sharing that happens. So anything beyond 10 women can you're not really giving them the space to share fully all the time because it can get quite
Mhm.
long. Um, these experiences, and we
Mhm.
have a retreat facilitator, and she lives in house with all the women. She also picks the women up from their retrieval, and she's there
Mhm.
in case anything, the women need anything at any point. We have a really close relationship with our clinic. This isn't a sort of a referral with our clinic. This is like a joint partnership where they really believe and put the effort in what we're also building. And so we're very proud to be partnered with Fertilidad Integral, not just for like their clinical
Mhm.
excellence, but just for how much they believe in holistic
Mhm.
health. And so if anything
That's great.
happens, or any woman, like we had a girl that put her medications in the freezer instead of the fridge. And, they Ubered new medications
Mhm.
over to us.
Oh,
We
that's
have
nice. Yeah.
everyone
So
from the nurse to the CEO on WhatsApp. And that's really nice as well, because you don't have that kind of support when you're just like a number at a clinic, maybe somewhere else.
I hear
Yeah.
stories all the time. It's crazy. Yeah, it's definitely not a very hands-on, like it feels very difficult for a lot of people where they sort of don't get the right support, or things, actually a lot of mistakes get made. So I totally hear the whole process could be so
Yeah,
stressful.
definitely. I mean, I left my trigger shot when I froze my eggs in my trunk on a hot day, and it was supposed to be in the fridge, and I left it there for 8 hours.
Hmm.
And I called the office, and it was like, we don't respond to calls after 5. And it's, how do you not respond to?
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
paid so much
Yeah.
money for this process. How is somebody not?
It should be it should be
It should be
concierge at that
concierge.
point.
It just blows my mind that you're
Yeah.
paying so much money for this, and then there's so many gaps in care, and
Yeah.
these are private things. It actually, it's just another
Yeah.
reason. Yeah, there was just so many parts of this process that needed to be improved. For me, honestly, when people ask me like, "How did you?" It was like, it was so obvious. It was so
Yeah.
obvious.
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. And so have you heard any stories? I know it's fairly new, like of people who have maybe done it in the past, or felt a completely different experience doing this in a group, or a better experience or a better outcome with that type of support?
Yeah, like, I'm really, really happy to say that, like, every single girl has gone through our retreat loves it. I just got a voice note from one of our girls,
Mhm.
literally, like, 3 days ago. I can forward it to you because 'cause I'm just so proud of it, but she's, like, crying. She's just like, "This experience changed my life," like,
Yeah.
beyond egg freezing. These women
Oh,
forget their
wow.
egg freezing as well, which is amazing because happy
Yes.
eggs are
It's
healthy
true.
eggs, right? Like, we don't want women to be so
Yep.
honed in on it during the process, counting, you see those women who are like, I put my results through ChatGPT. I put, okay, this follicle is counting. And it's like, okay, it's great to be informed, but you also just want to once you're in the process, let it be, surrender to it. And
Mhm.
so we distract them with like
Yeah.
all sorts of things, fun things, and you're in the sun,
Mhm.
you're with girlfriends. And we have our November retreat girls planning a trip to Korea together. We have a
Oh,
mini
wow.
documentary that'll
That's
be coming out. So you
amazing.
can actually see the process of how community matters. These women said that they would, I have discovery calls with women that say they would never do it in any other way other than how we are doing it, which is great. But once you see women go through it, and they
Mhm.
were like, this process, I can't believe people go through this process alone. And this changed my life
Mhm.
much, much beyond what I initially started it as. Yeah, it's very heartwarming. We're doing much more than just egg freezing, to be honest. And I think that makes me like deeply, deeply filled with gratitude.
That's so great. That just sounds amazing. It really is something that's so needed. And I'm like, I've been doing this for a while now, like 10 years, and I see people go through so much, and how much they're craving community and really connection, and to know that like something like this exists, really, I feel like is so needed. So I think that you just like you hit the nail on the head with this. I think it's like a really, really
Thank you.
amazing idea. So if people are listening, because I'm sure people are like, wow, this is so cool. Like, I want to find out more. If people are listening and they want to learn more, you mentioned that you have a
Yeah,
discovery
exactly.
call.
So, we on our website or on our Instagram page, you can go directly and sign up for a discovery call. All discovery calls are with me. Um, and
Hmm.
so we go through just like where they're at, what their feelings are, what their fears are, hesitations of egg freezing. And we see if it's a good fit. I believe in giving honest advice. I guide women to the retreat or
Yeah.
away from the retreat. I give them, all the knowledge I've learned, saying like, oh, but you can actually get your medications in America. So maybe this won't make total sense for you. And, I really give them honest feedback. So our discovery calls are really the best way to figure out if this is a good fit for you, something that
Mhm.
would help you in the process. And I want to mention, oh,
And how
sorry, I want to mention,
go
like,
ahead.
I can get, I know this world is referred to as woo woo, in some ways. And I can get pretty woo. I'm sure you can too. But everything in our retreat is backed by science, the literature, and we send it
Mhm.
to the women. We send the literature on acupuncture, we send the literature on, cortisol reduction, red light therapy. So when you enter the house,
Mhm.
you don't feel like, um, oh, are these things gonna work? You're confident, like, that mind-body connection is there, and it knows that they have proven results
Mhm.
behind it to improve the success of my
Yep.
outcomes. Um, so I think that's really important in instilling confidence in the women that they're signing up for something that is actually going to help them.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. People don't wanna like, I think that when you're going through this journey, you don't wanna waste time, you don't wanna waste money, you wanna know that what you're doing is going to bring you value. So, 100%, people really wanna have that because it's, there's so much time gets taken from so many women on this journey, so I could see how that can really put people at ease. So for people who wanna find out more, how
So
can
our
they find
website
you?
is, the fertilitycoliving.com, and that's the same with our
Mhm.
Instagram handle. And they can just directly sign up for a call there. Those are the best ways.
Awesome, and I'll have all of the links on in the episode notes if anybody wants to find them there. Aliza, this was such a pleasure. Thank you so much for
My
coming on
pleasure.
today.
Thank you so much for having me.